Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Red Line Baseball Show. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with the coach himself, Terrence Jackson, joining me as we discuss the Chicago Cubs 2-0 season-ending loss to the Miami Marlins in the wild card round of the playoffs. And, what can you say, Coach? Same old for the Chicago Cubs. They end up getting swept here. 2-0 is the score, and 2-0 in games won by the Marlins. But before we get into this, I want to welcome everyone who's watching us on YouTube Live. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, and you can share our show as well. You can also be checking us out on Facebook Live. We appreciate it. If you have comments for us, which I'm sure you probably do, go ahead and put them in the comment box. We'll get them up on the screen for you. And also, if you have any questions for us, we'll be glad to answer them for you. But remember, you can always download that app, the SportsZone Chicago app. You can download it on iTunes. You can download it on Apple. You can download it on Amazon. Make sure you download the app. That'll give you access to all the shows that we have here on SportsZone Chicago. But the talk of the day, there is no more baseball in Chicago, TJ. 24 hours after the White Sox get eliminated, the Cubs say, hey, misery loves company. We might as well help you. We can all go fishing together. And same old story for this Cubs team. Absolutely no hitting, no offense. Tonight, they pushed across no runs. The only chance they had was Willie Contreras getting smoked at home plate in the fifth inning. So go ahead and start us off about the Cubs here.
Well, I mean, it's what we expected. No offense whatsoever. We had two guys with two hits. We had Happ, 2 hits, Hayward with 2 hits, and we had Caratini, who curiously got pinch hit for with 1 hit. So yeah, it's the same story. The big guys for the Cubs, uh, Rizzo, Schwarber, Contreras, Bryant, Baez, just nothing, just over, nothing. I don't even know it between the four of them, and anyone can correct me here if anyone even hit the ball hard. Uh, they it's just like they performed just like a dead firecracker. They just fizzled out, no steam, nothing. They gave us nothing. Darvish did a good job. He made one mistake, and it cost us. But one run should not cost the team a ball game if you have the star power that the Cubs believe that they have on this ball club. So it's unfortunate that they fizzled out, but it's nothing that we haven't seen for the last 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, and I understand the frustration of Cubs fans at this point because they have seen this now for like 3 years going strong. And I can only imagine the frustration they're feeling, just as a baseball fan. That was hard to watch. They were down 2-0 there in the seventh inning, and we kind of talked to you like this game is over. and that's bad when you feel that the game is over when you go down a run or two. And trust me, as a White Sox fan, for many years I felt like that. But to see what happened today with the Cubs, and they're out of this thing already. Darvish, you mentioned him in the opening. Let's talk about him a little bit. Darvish did what he had done all year. He was lights out. Gave up the homer there late, but he gives you 6 2/3 inning of good baseball. Gave up 2 runs in the process. Go ahead and talk a little bit about you and what he was able to do today.
Well, Darvish does what he does. He throws 90 pitches in the first 5 innings. Then he comes with his fastball after that. The home run that was hit off of him was on a slider that kind of hung over the plate. But Darvish, he mixes his pitches, he mixes his location, he mixes his speeds more than any pitcher probably in the game, and he did an excellent job. And when he came out the game, he looked a little upset, and I would have been too. David Ross did something a little curious today. After Darvish gave up the home run, he gave up I think it was a hit, was it?
Yeah.
To the next batter, perhaps a double, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
To the next batter, David Ross decided to intentionally walk the next guy with 2 outs. Mattingly substituted. I think it was Joyce that he got the base hit. He substituted him for a pinch runner, Brinson, to bring more speed with two outs. The Cubs put an extra runner on for him, uh,
Mm-hmm.
brought up a lefty, and then pulled Rizzo in on the grass
Yeah.
against the lefty, and the lefty promptly first pitch hits it right by Rizzo,
Yeah.
and the second run scores as a result. And you Darvish was visibly upset about that. I just don't understand what's going on with baseball these days. Maybe I need to watch a little bit more.
you
Maybe
know,
the game has changed.
I thought that
I
was
just
weird.
don't know.
I saw the lefty come up, and and after he hit the ball, I noticed what Rizzo was playing, and I was like, man, what did I miscalculate here? Because it was 2 outs, wasn't it? What did,
Right.
and I was like, why is he playing there? We have seen some very interesting decisions from Chicago rookie managers in the playoffs these last 24 hours. I was very just baffled by that one as well. Why are you bringing this guy in on a lefty? And that was Sierra who came up with that clutch base hits with 2 outs. Um,
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. And this is the guy. This is the guy who actually replaced Starlin Marte, who was out of the game after he broke his hand in Game 1. So
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe they were expecting some. I don't know. It was two outs. Maybe they were expecting some sort of trick play, but I just don't see that. It was runners on first and second at that point. You
right.
didn't need to run it first of all, not with your ace on the mound. You have two
Mm-hmm.
outs, your ace on the mound. Okay, he'd given up a home run and a double. If you don't have confidence in him, take him out. Otherwise, let him pitch to the next guy with just that runner on second base. Let's not add to the misery with extra base runners. He'll get this next guy. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't see the point in intentionally walking the guy. And perhaps they say, well, maybe we could get a force out at third or a force out at second, to make it easier on the infield. But you have a very good infield. They don't need that help. You have your ace on the mound. They don't need that help. I just don't see the point in putting that extra base runner on with two outs, and then bringing up a lefty to face him, and then pulling your first baseman in, opening up a hole for your lefty. I, I don't know. I guess I guess hindsight is 2020. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't get it.
I just think it's some bad managerial mistakes that we're seeing, and I mean it happens to every club. But what we've seen these last 24 hours from both the White Sox and the Cubs managers have been very perplexing. It'll be interesting to see what David Ross has to say in his press conference. Hopefully, the reporters today are asking some real questions of David Ross, and unlike what they did with Renteria yesterday. Because I mean, they need to explain some of this stuff that's been happening. Let's talk about a little bit in terms of where does the Cubs as an organization go from here. So obviously now the season is over, but we still got COVID out here. We have no idea when spring training is going to start, if it's going to be a spring training. I don't even know if it's going to be fall ball. We had a whole season that went by that we lost no minor leagues at all. So that's got to affect your player development. You don't
Hmm.
have any guys playing down in the minor leagues. They do have a major league schedule for next year. They're expecting to play 162. Uh, what does the Cubs organization do from here going forward?
There are two thoughts here. You have Baez, Rizzo, Bryant, and Schwarber, free agents after 2021. So they have them for another full year. The thought, you know, do you trade one, two, three, or all of them during the course of the winter to improve your team, to improve the overall outlook of your team? Do you do that, or do you put better players around them and have them to go at it one more year? You know, I don't know, because in my mind, you know, unless you can get a haul, and I'm talking about, you're talking about again going through the developmental process, uh, in trading those guys, now you're going to give up another year of baseball on the north side. And I don't, after what happened this year, no fans in the stand. I don't know the Cubs can afford to do that. I don't think
Mm,
they can. I think they need those four guys on the field next year, just for the the fact that they need the fans in the stands to come support them. Because I don't think the fans will support them if they trade all of them over the winter and give us this spiel about we're going to redevelop. Now, they do have an option: center field, left field. You can improve. Um, the infield is solid defensively. Second base, you can improve. Uh, you can improve what's on the mound. So if you can get an impact player in center field, and if I'm not mistaken, George Springer is
yes,
available.
he's going to be a free agent. Yep,
If you can get an impact player in center field, if you can get an impact player in left field, I'm sure there's a slugger out there that's going to be available. And you put those two guys, and keep in mind, one of those guys have to be a leadoff hitter.
I agree.
If you can plug those two guys into this lineup and inject something that the Cubs do not currently have, which is pure athleticism and talent, if you can inject that into this lineup at in center field, in left field, and second base, then you got yourself a ball club. Now, another player that's available is a player in Cleveland, a shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
so the Cubs can stick with what they have, improve those three spots, and I'm talking about Springer. I'm talking about what's his name,
Francisco Lindor.
Lindor, and he and Baez can decide who plays second and short. It really won't matter.
Right.
And then find themselves a slugging left fielder, whomever it is. This team could they could make some noise next year.
Interesting. Interesting thought. So, there's hope listening to you and what you're saying. And, I forgot about Lindor being out there because I definitely think he's done with Cleveland. They're not going to be able to afford to sign him. Um,
And keep in mind, I'm saying that I'm through with Schwarber. Unless they have
mm,
a DH in the National League next year, full season, it's time to let him go. You don't need a left fielder hitting 230, hitting 30 home runs, and really gives you not much else
right.
other than those 30 home runs. And somebody let me know if there any of those home runs come in the clutch. I imagine that some have to, but I'm pretty much finished with him. There's got to be a better left fielder. There's got to be a better option.
Well, speaking of Kyle Schwarber, today, ironically, his best play was he gunned down the guy trying to go to second base on a double, and that was a phenomenal play. I mean, that guy torched the ball. It hit off of that hard wall out there in Wrigley. I think he hit off the door of one of the things where they go out in left field. Came right to Schwarber. He played it beautifully, and he, put a rocket on the second base and a great tag there by your
Hmm.
second baseman, and they were able to get him, and that was a key play. But let's be honest, Chicago has got two teams with two left fielders, and neither one of them are great defensively. Uh,
That's correct. That's correct.
and we see how it's hurting both teams on both sides of town. Not having a defensive person out there. I mean, Schwarber got replaced earlier or last month during the game for not
Hmm.
hustling by David Ross. So
Hmm.
defensively, they could definitely use the upgrade out there in left field. I think I think the thing with the Cubs is that people have fallen in love with that 2016 teams, and they've really fallen in love with what Schwarber did during the playoff run, where he was absolutely phenomenal. But what have
Hmm.
you done for me lately? What has Brian
Hmm.
done for you lately? What has Rizzo done for you lately? Baez had a great year last year. I think he got jinxed because he got put on the cover of the EA Sports game, which we know
Hmm.
just kills everybody. But
Honestly, honestly, I think Baez is better suited at second base only because of the offense. I think he's a great shortstop. Don't get me wrong, but if you could find another shortstop, move Baez over to second where he can handle both at the same time. I just think he's better there. I keep thinking about a Roberto Alomar. He could have been a great shortstop, but he stayed at second, and he became one of the greatest offensive second basemen to ever play the game. And Baez could be in that realm without having so much responsibility at short. Now he does some great things there. I have no problem with him playing short, but if he's going to play short, you have to understand he's not going to be the same offensive player that you want when he was more moving around, playing short some, playing second some, even playing the outfield some.
Mm-hmm.
So and playing third some. He's probably a better player doing that than just playing shortstop. Shortstop is a heck of a responsibility. Besides, the Cubs have a Chicago product coming up at shortstop, and we need to open that hole up because
Mm.
because he's coming. Trust me, he's
So
going to be there.
So you're talking about Ed Howard, the first round draft pick, graduate of Mount Carmel High School and alum of Jackie Robinson West, who the Cubs drafted in the June draft year. Ed Howard, obviously, everybody in Chicago would love to see this kid get an opportunity to get the shortstop position. I have every indication of after talking to Julian and after talking to Theo earlier this year that they want Ed Howard to come up and play shortstop. They're not in the process, of thinking that he's going to come up and play another position. But again, he's hurt by not having that minor league season
That's
this
right.
year, as they all are. I mean, Garrett
Hmm.
Crochet on the White Sox, suffered from not being able to be in the minor leagues. The guy was pitching June in college, and next thing you know, you're throwing him in a playoff round, for Christ's sakes, at the end of a regular season in some clutch games. So, it's definitely a lot that needs to take place here on both sides of town. I think the Cubs. My personal opinion is that the Cubs have got fool's gold. I personally
Hmm.
think they need to go ahead and do the full rebuild. Me
Hmm.
personally, I think
Hmm.
you still got enough fool's gold where you can trick people enough where you can trade these guys and people will give you some doggone good prospects for them.
Hmm.
I don't think as a collective group they've done anything significant over the past 3 years.
Hmm.
I'm very disappointed in Baez's play this entire season. I just thought he
Hmm.
completely fell off a cliff. I think Chris Bryant has gotten so upset with his money and how the organization has not negotiated his contract. I think that has definitely affected his game, especially when you realize he was already mad at them for not bringing him up his rookie year. Um, you
Well,
know,
they held him back.
they go back to get the year of service, the extra year of
Hmm.
service. He was
Yeah.
never really happy about that, and I just think that whole situation is built up over time. Uh, Kyle Schwarber, I just think he hasn't worked on his game at all. He's pretty much the same player. I don't know
Hmm.
what to say about Rizzo. And Contreras, he's been decent. I think he goes out there and competes today.
Hmm.
But I did find him actually pretty funny today on his hit by pitch. The first one, nope, that wasn't a hit by a pitch. The second one he did. I haven't seen anybody stick their elbow out to get intentionally hit since I was in Little League. So I found that to be hilarious. But the umpire did catch that. But, I think Willie goes out there and puts his all in every game. But I just don't believe in this Cubs team when I look at them. I think it's fool's gold. I think it's time for them to do a rebuild. However, because of the points you brought up, I don't think they're going to do it. Because let's remember, they just put that hotel up there. They've done all these economic development around Wrigley Field, the bars. They need to get some money up in that place.
They,
They
you know, right. They can't afford it. So, here's the thing about Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant has hit himself out of a contract. He
mm,
is no longer in the same conversation with Nolan Arenado. He's not there. So the Cubs, Chris Bryant doesn't have the leverage he used to have. He's now on a prove it year. He needs to prove that he is the rookie of the year, that he was the most valuable player that he was in 16. He needs to prove it. And his best place to prove it would be in Chicago. Now, uh, Rizzo would look really good on the South Side in black at first base. That's all I would say about Rizzo. He's a solid player, and you see how his defense makes a difference for that Cub infield. I mean, he is flawless over there. He does everything that you would want a first baseman to be able to do and more. And offensively, he's good enough to succeed. Baez, down year, but he is an exciting player. He's electric, and again, I would love to see him move back to second in the Cubs, bring in a shortstop to take that pressure off of him because Lindor has proven that he can handle playing shortstop and being a dynamic offensive player, and he can also lead off as well. You know, if I'm Theo, I make a big push for Springer and Lindor. If I can't get them, then I go the second route and I break these boys up because they're really, like you said, they're dead.
Hmm.
They are fool's gold. They got the one championship. They they kind of looked up into that. They played great baseball that year. They surprised some people. The book wasn't out on the hitters,
Hmm.
and they got it. But now it's over for
Yeah, I
them.
think for me particularly, Baez. I love to see this kid run the bases. I love to see him run the bases, TJ. I think when Baez is running the bases, it's one of the most exciting things in all of sports. I mean,
Mm,
that guy, he can move on the base path, and he makes smart decisions. He doesn't just use his speed. You know how you got some guys who are just fast, but they're not smart base runners. He's
great
fast,
understanding. Yeah.
and he's got a great understanding of his speed, his ability, when to take risks, when not to. Um, you know, to me, it just seemed like he lost that light in his eyes this year, that fire that was in his belly. Don't see it there, and I'd love to see him get that back. Um,
Hmm.
I'd love to see him stay on the north side and get that back. But
Hmm.
I just for whatever reason he just doesn't seem to have that anymore. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the stuff we saw in today's game. It's not a lot.
Right.
The playman Willie Contreras. So Hayward comes out. Contreras is on second, run on
Hmm.
first. Hayward gets a broken bat single in the right field.
Hmm.
Contreras, for some reason, was freezing. He never got off the. I don't know what he was doing actually at second base, and that
Hmm.
hesitation caught cost him. Without a doubt, it cost him because he should have scored easily on that play. Did I miss something on that? What did you think happened on that play with Contreras?
Well, stumble. He did. I didn't see the stumbling or whatever. Whatever happened, it was a bad read by the third base coach because he shouldn't have sent him. Contreras was just crossing third as the right fielder picked up the baseball, and you know, in some circumstances you can send in that situation. I wouldn't have. You have got to know that this right fielder, he threw a perfect ball to the plate, and I have to understand. I have to believe that's not by mistake. There had to be some sort of a book that said that this right fielder, is good. He's a good strong has a good strong accurate arm. So with that in mind, and as Contreras is rounding third, this guy's picking up the ball. You've got to hold him. I mean, there. I mean, there was really no real reason that you had to send him in that situation, especially if you're going to have bases loaded, less than two outs, and I guess the next hitter, flied out. Of course, we
Mm-hmm.
could have had a run.
Mm-hmm.
We still could have had a run. So I think it was just whether he stumbled or not, that may have been, but the third base coach still had time to stop him, and he didn't. He shouldn't have sent him.
Yeah, I think he got a bad read when the ball came off the bat because of the broken bat. But
That's possible. Hmm.
my whole thing was, when you're on base, every time for every pitch, I was always looking to see where my defense was playing.
Hmm.
Where was my outfield? Did they take a step in from that last pitch? So I'll
Hmm.
know, okay, they trying to cut me down at home. Did they step back? How are they shading the batter? I'm checking the infielders. Where are they? Um, he got a bad read off of it, but I couldn't really understand how. Because the second baseman made absolutely no attempts whatsoever to go back for the ball, and you could definitely tell it was going to fall in front of the right fielder. So I mean, perhaps he just had a brain cramp, which does happen in the game.
I mean, it's
Um,
possible. It's possible that maybe he thought the ball was going to elevate to the right fielder, and maybe he thought the right fielder would have a play on that ball. So I mean, anything's possible. What you just said, the third base coach can see all of that. He can
Yeah.
see that that ball is hit directly to the right fielder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Mm-hmm.
right fielder didn't have to go to his left or to his right to pick that ball up. All he had to do was come straight in. He
Mm-hmm.
could see, if he's positioned properly, he can see that right fielder pick up the ball, and he can see where Contreras is at that time. He had plenty of time to just stop him. But
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to be aggressive, trying to steal the run because, again, like with the White Sox, this coaching staff knows that this team is struggling to score runs, and he was
Mm-hmm.
just trying to get a run, and that's unfortunate. That's just too doggone bad because I think under normal circumstances that third base coach would have held him to let the next guy bring him in somehow. They just didn't have confidence in it. They didn't have confidence in the next hitter. Is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and once again, very, very unfortunate play. We talked a little bit about you, Darvish, earlier. He did give up the home run there to Cooper, and that's what gave the Marlins a 1-0 lead. What did you see on that pitch that he tried to make there?
Well, he hung a slider and it stayed out over the middle of the plate, and Cooper got him. I can't remember what pitch it was in the sequence, but it just hung. And when you hang a pitch, when it's major league hitters, they're major league hitters. You know, generally they will make you pay, and that's what he did. It was unfortunate. Just one got away from him.
Yeah, hang me, bang me. That's the old saying, and it is unfortunate. I thought you Darvish pitched a heck of a good game. He's been
Hmm.
consistent all year. They're talking about he's a leading candidate for Cy Young in National League. We'll see how that pans out. But
Hmm.
you know, talk a little bit just about when your team isn't giving you any runs, what type of pressure that puts on your pitcher.
Well, to make perfect pitches and to be perfect with everything that you do, because you do understand that with a team that's struggling to score runs, that the onus is on you, not only to keep the base runners off base, but when they do get on base, to keep them from crossing the plate. And I think you Darvish, the Cubs have a really they have a really good defense, and he understands that, and that takes a little of the pressure off you. But you know, and it depends on the person too. You know, uh, some pitchers, you have to be a little selfish and not worry about those things. Just go out there and pitch your game, and because you can only control what you do. But it does add a little pressure to you when you know
Mm-hmm.
that you have to keep the opposition to 0, 1, or maybe even 2 runs in order for you to even have a chance to win. But he's a veteran. He knows he knows what he needed to do, and I think he did it. The offense just didn't do what they were supposed to do today.
Final point I have that adding one Oh, there we go. I'm back.
Okay.
Man, it's over. We had a little technical glitch here, folks. Sorry about that. But as I was saying, you know, the Cubs they showed a graphic for Baez. I'm gonna see if I can find it here. So since 2016, when they won the World Series, Their batting average, a combined 136 between the three of them in the 2016 World Series. 136 between the three of them. And these are guys who you consider the core of your team. You could call them the leaders on your team. I guess the only other two you could add in there would be Schwarber and Contreras. But what does that say when you've got these three who are batting 136 in the playoffs since 2016?
Something needs to give. Either they're going to have to replace those guys again, or they're going to have to add something to the mix. It's you really can't overanalyze this situation with the Cubs, other than to say, okay, Bryant had 2 good years. Rookie year, his second year. Baez had 1 good year. All right, last year. Rizzo has been pretty consistent throughout his career as a hitter. Maybe right around 30 home runs, right around 280 as a batting average. So what I would tell you in this situation is that what you see is what you get. All right. They are, Denny Green.
They are who we thought
they were. I mean, it's been proven more times than not that they are not elite hitters. Mm-hmm. We want them to be. They're pretty good defensive players. They're pretty good baseball players, but they're not elite.
Yeah.
The Cubs need some elite ball players if they want to keep these three guys together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there. If you're going to keep them, they're definitely going to need some more help. If you're not, then go ahead and do the rebuild. I don't know how well your fan base is going to accept that, but go ahead and do your rebuild. I'd like to see them give it one more shot with this crew and give some people around them. I don't want to see them do a rebuild because the White Sox right now are good and they're on the upswing. And you and I both want this Red Line World Series as the rest of Chicago does. And if the Cubs go through a full rebuild again, we're not going to see that. We're not going to see that.
They could do it at All-Star break. If they're not performing by July next year, granted, we have a full season next year. And if the Cubs aren't doing what they're supposed to do by the All-Star break, let it ride, because you just can't take the chance on losing them through free agency and getting nothing in return. So I say go for it. Like you said, one more year, go for it. And by the All-Star break, they need to be getting it, or, go ahead and start the rebuild.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we are here in Chicago. We got our North Side team with the arrow looking like it might be going down. We got the South Side team with the arrow looking like it may be going up. And that's the kind of quandary we have here in Chicago. This is a sports sound. We've got the Bears who are 3-0, trying to be 4-0 on Sunday. We've got the Bulls who finally got a legitimate head coach. We're looking to see what they're going to do. And we've got the Blackhawks, if they can get a goalie and a couple of defensemen and their younger players develop. We got a chance here having a really, really solid sports season in 2021 for all of our Chicago teams, TJ.
Don't forget our ladies over there, WNBA.
Let's not forget our ladies and Coach James over there at the WNBA. They suffered a couple of tough injuries over there with the Shields and Stevens this year. I think that derailed them a lot. But they got a good club too, and Coach James, who I've had on my show, is a great guy. Thanks for reminding me of that. So, we'll see what happens here going forward. Unfortunately, our show here is coming to an end. We just got it started. But, we were hoping to have at least 3 weeks here of baseball to talk about. But unfortunately, baseball guys didn't allow that. Both the Cubs and the Sox have been eliminated in this shortened season and this playoff format. But, they brought us some excitement here these last couple of months, and we are grateful for that. So in the meantime, everybody continue to please still be safe. Take this coronavirus very serious. Practice your social distancing, wear your mask, do good hand washing. Just do the things you need to do so that we can all get through this thing without any more loss of life and any more people getting seriously ill. But, on behalf of Coach Terrance Jackson, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to us here on the Red Line Baseball Show. We'll be bringing this show back in the spring in a format. I'm not sure if it's going to be once a week, a few days a week, but we're going to definitely bring this back. This will be part of our SportsZone Chicago network of family shows here. So we'll be checking in with you probably around March when spring training starts to kick in, and we've got some rosters kind of set up. We'll see what both teams do on both sides of town. In the meantime, everybody get out there, enjoy your weekend, stay safe. Coach Jackson, thank you for joining me, and you stay safe down there in Alabama, and I'll be chatting with you soon, okay?
That's no problem. I'll be rooting for the Braves and Dusty in Houston. So,
I guess I probably should ask you, who do you have in the World Series? We know it's not the Sox and the Cubs. Who do you have in the World Series?
There you have it. Braves, Astros. Let's get it on.
You've got Brave Astros. I'm going to go with the Dodgers Yankees. I think that was going to be a heck of a series, and the ratings will be through the roof when we get those two teams.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I'm going to say Dodgers Yankees, and I'm going to say Dodgers to win it all. Who you got winning it all?
I'm going to go with the Braves, baby.
Go with the Braves. Wow. Okay.
I'm going to go with the Braves.
I love Acuna. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. And of course, we'll be on the watch for the managerial watch on the White Sox as well. We'll see what they do with Renteria and who his replacement will be. But thanks a lot, Coach, for joining me, and we'll check in soon. Everybody, goodbye. Be safe. Have a good weekend. Peace out.